started when I was younger in sales and worked in stores, and then grew to corporate and then purchasing. So for the last 14 years, I've been at Beauty Collection. So I've really, for me personally, and I have a handout here for you, but really it's just kind of for us to, not to read note by note, but really something for you to take home, to read through. I'm kind of sharing my own personal story with you, what works for me and what I'm looking for. It may not work for everybody, may not work for every brand, but it's what I've learned in the last 14 years and what's really worked well for me in the last few years and helped us grow our business. So really what I want to talk about today is you only have one first impression with the buyer, and let's make it count. Things like this, and I'm going to start this off because it makes everybody laugh, and I hope I'm not offending anybody by some of the brands or some of the things that we talk about, but really this is to be an open forum. I want everybody to have the opportunity to talk and share ideas. I can tell you that for me personally, this was not a good first impression for a brand. And you can pass this around. This is something that was dropped off at a store by a salesperson that wanted to approach us to carry her brand. And this was the first impression. So that's kind of how I wanted to start off this conversation. So for me, the key to a successful launch for a brand, and I've listed some things here, and I'd like to hear your ideas as well. Clear understanding of the brand philosophy, knowing the ideal target market for your brand, determining the desired channels of distribution. It's really important that you know and that you have a clear vision where you want your product to be sold, where you want to see it sitting on a shelf, or where you want to see it at what point touching the consumer. You really need to know that. Defining the level of sales support and local support you can provide realistically and financially. And I think that for me is the biggest piece that I see missing today with a lot of brands. The last few years with the economy change, a lot of people had the opportunity to really go out and start business for themselves, have the time to be able to create their own brands. And there are a lot of things that are missing. They have the passion, they have the product, they've gone and put all their heart and soul into it, every penny that they've had. But when it comes to the end of the day to talking with the buyer, they really don't have a clear understanding of what they can provide realistically and financially. Can they afford a salesperson? Can they afford to pay a freelancer? Can they afford to make sample packets? Or, go in and provide GWPs. If you want to go on an e-commerce site like dermstore.com, you have to be able to provide GWPs and samples. Will you be able to do that? So it's a really important part that's missing for a lot of brands. Know the numbers for negotiating purposes. Know what your rock bottom number is. Can you afford to discount? If you can, how much can you afford to? Because you need to be able to negotiate with buyers. So you really need to understand your numbers and not wait until you get that PO. And when you're looking at your numbers on that sheet, you realize you just gave everything away and you're not making any money. Now what do? Do you continue to sell to this, account time and time again, and it's a lost profit for you? Or do you have to go back and say, this was a one-shot deal? So it's really important that you know that. And creating all your necessary brand materials in advance. Everything that you're going to need, all of those tools, the more work you put into it from the beginning with the brand, the better prepared you're going to be out there in the buyer. So I'd like to hear from all of you what you think is successful in launching a brand.
I think that it encompasses the way it looks, the way it smells, the packaging, everything.
The experience.
It's a multi-sensory experience, at least it is for me.
The one thing I feel like is missing from here is having great product, and the buyer.
The product has to work.
Is as much the person who is going to distribute your product as much as the person who's going to use it, and you really have only one first impression to make with that person, and that person is likely to affect.
Absolutely. Your business can grow and catapult just based on word of mouth.
Yeah.
You have to have a product that performs, bottom line. Bottom line.
Social media is even bigger because their opinion. So, people, I think, believe people's word of mouth or opinion as opposed to advertisements where they know that that's being
Absolutely.
Well, we were just talking about this at Jennifer's table, I think, and how word of mouth has always been a big player in beauty, but with social media and with the internet now, it's the word of mouth is amplified, to the millionth degree, to 4 million, actually.
And
Absolutely.
all of us go and look up online first before we buy anything now.
People do their homework. They do their homework. And that's what we're going to get to next, is really doing your homework as a brand. You know, a lot of times, and as a buyer, I have my hit list. And I know, you know, in talking to some other buyers that were here tonight, most of us have our hit list. I'm a buyer as well, and I'm looking for brands to buy. So there's always that customer, there's always someone selling something. And it's really important that when you have that list of people that you want to go to, that you know why you want to go to them, and that you know how you want to approach them. You know, are you going to call them? Are you going to send an email? Are you going to stop by their place of business? You know, do we think that those are good ideas? You know, that's what a lot of people do. They just, this is my list and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start emailing people. I'm going to start calling up places, or I'm going to start visiting stores one by one. And that's pretty much a common approach. From my perspective, it's not the best approach. I don't believe it's the best approach at all.
Today, buyers, along with consumers, they hear a story about a brand. We've been in business for 20 years. Okay, well, so have they. We have the best formulation. Well, okay, so have they. Our pump on our bottle is the best pump and bottle ever made. Well, theirs is pretty good too. So you've got 2 or 3 different brands. What makes you take notice of one or another? How do you generate loyalty for one? Because everybody has a favorite, but what is it as a buyer that's now, you're basically representing the consumer. We're saying, this has to meet my standards before you, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, can try this product. How do you decide what's going to be the jewelry?
By the customer, by the consumer. They're the people telling you what's missing in your store, what that white space is, what they're looking for. If you have a retail, even e-commerce, you talk about social media, they're on there telling you what they're looking for, what they need. They want new technology, they want innovation, they want products that work and deliver, they want products that deliver value. So all of those things, a consumer, what your customer's looking for is what's helping me know what I'm looking for from our place of business. I also know what our culture is and what our brand philosophy is. So does this product meet our needs? Does it fill the white space that I see that we have, even if a consumer doesn't tell me that we have it? Does it deliver? Does the packaging represent beauty collection as a whole? Does it fit in? Price point, you know, profitability. There's so many components. PR, you know, does it have brand recognition? You know, so there are a lot of things that go into it. And sometimes there can be a new emerging brand that nobody knows about, has never heard about. We just launched a handful of new brands with a new store opening. But what we see is the passion of the founder, the quality of the product, prestige packaging and collateral that's supporting it, the willingness to come in and do store events, to write blogs, to talk to your customers, you know, hands-on, be there for events. All of those things add into it, even though it's a brand new company that no one's really going to know. All of those things are going to add to the importance of the brand. So there's so many things.
People today don't look or talk to their consumer. They don't walk the street. They don't go down and walk the sales floor. They could care less. They look at the accounting sheet.
Numbers. They look at numbers.
Yeah.
So I'd say that
we're not about
out
numbers.
Of all the people I've asked that question to this year, for 6 months into the year, you're the first person to give me the answer.
Yay!
And I ask that question at least once a day.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. If our brand statement, our vision statement talks about our customer. Our goal is that our customer leaves our store happy.
I want to cry. So yeah, that's really cool, I think.
We want our customers to be happy. The only way they can be happy is if we're giving them what they need. We're giving them the products that they're looking for and the environment that they want to shop in, with the experience that they want to have, with products that deliver, like they say they deliver, at a price point that's of value to them.
Do you find
all
price
of those
is the
things?
number one issue, or performance?
Absolutely not. Performance of the product. It doesn't matter if you spend $5 on this jar of cream, you still want it to work.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you spend $500 on this jar of cream. Just because it's pretty and it has a fancy name on it and you can find it at the best department stores doesn't mean it's the best product for you.
Well,
And we provide
women talk.
solutions. Social media.
And even
Social
when
media.
we can't afford the $500 for that month, she's gonna find the $5
Right.
that meets all of her needs.
Yeah.
She'll
Right.
still take the time to find
Right.
like that. Right.
And you build the trust. If you have a culture of business that builds the trust, then they're going to come to you and say, and this happened 2009, 2010. We all know what happened to our business. We all know how difficult it became to do business. The customer that was buying that $200 jar of cream, well, they would stop and couldn't afford it. Or you have the other third of the customers that would say, listen, I can't afford it this month. Do you have something else that you could recommend? And then in a couple months when I need another cream, I'll buy it again. They wanted to be able to rotate. And you help them get through that period of time. And then guess what? They're your loyal customer. And they leave happy. So I hope I answered that question.